Good evening, y'all. This weekend, we're going to do Mahāmudra. As last weekend we finished in Dzögchen, segueing into the beautiful Mahāmudra instructions of Tilopa, we're going to start with Tilopa this week. And segueing from the songs of Tilopa, we will move into the how-to towards the end. It's nice to see you all, and I'm glad you could join me for this. Although it is useful in the beginning to focus on either a Dzögchen method or a Dzögchen method. Dzögchen is the Tibetan word for Mahāmudra. Dzögchen means the great completion, the end point, the final, the finial, the peak, the top. Dzögchen means the great gesture, the great pointing, the words which point at the peak, the top, the final transition from practice to not practice to isness. Shuku kundu sombo gombo ye dorji sempa garab dorji dang Shere singi bardu shin labdi dedam azan tata tusum chi Dzögchen jupe lama la sol wa deb Agin pema junela sol wa deb Dorji chang chitilo narudang Marpa mila gompo tatapa Na pupadang palden drupa sok Kargyu lama namla solwa deb O chen lama namla solwa deb Dzögchen lama namla solwa deb Shakchen lama namla solwa deb Nyandu da yundra lama namla solwa deb Palkondu zhangdang yerme pa Gungarab dorji jintrad pa Jetidang nisume pai Alamanam chetente chong. His prayer to the lineage begins with Dharma kaya essence chunku zongpo Gampopa. Kungtu Zongpo, primordial Buddha. The meditation is Vajrasattva, Garabdorji, and Shirisinga until such time the blessing of all of these, the lineage of Dzögchen, I invoke. The great lotus master from Urgyen, lotus-born master from Urgyen, I invoke. Dorji Chang, another word for Kuntu Zangpo, primordial Buddha. Tilopa, Naropa, and Marpa, Milarepa, Gonpopo, and all the others all of these of the lineage of the Drupa Kargyu, as well as other Kargyus in the Kargyu teachers of the lineage I invoke. At this time I recite the lineages which I have received. So here I personally invoke and reference all of my personal lineages. This includes the 5 basic lineages of Tibet, and all the others have trained in Cheyenne, Lakota, Druid, Wicca, and even including the teachers who taught me to read as a small child. All of them. At this point, you should simply recite the names of the lineages that you are connected with. You personally, visualizing those teachers descending and entering through your crown chakra and becoming one with your heart. Not your meat heart, heart chakra. You are invoking by their names all those lineages you have trained in, have received benefit from. And then the 4 words written by the Zigar scholar, the scholar of the land of Zigar, which is way out in the wilds of East Tibet. A scholar named Chunchong. Scholar Chunchong, Professor Chunchong. He wrote this. He was Rinpoche's heart teacher of his childhood and teen years, the one who held his hand, the one who sent him to Jangchub Dorji for the full Dzögchen. He was a student of Jangchub Dorji himself, the one who encouraged him to go over the wall and go pilgrimage and wander and practice, which is what he was doing when the Chinese came and he ran to India carrying Tuxi Rinpoche, one of his teachers from the monastery, which is what he was doing when he wandered India, came up to the caves, and by happenstance found that Guru Rinpoche's cave was empty because there'd been a sadhu living in it until the week before. But he borrowed a lot of money and then left. So everybody from the local village figured he wasn't coming back under those circumstances of owing a lot of money. So when Rinpoche asked if he could stay in that cave and practice, they said, yeah, sure, nobody's using it. And so he stayed and had a vision that stay he should. And so he stayed with occasional expeditions elsewhere for the next, I'd say, 60-odd years. And so he practiced. Together and inseparable from Garab Dorji and all the others, the blessing of be with us all. So this is a vague approximation of what I say. Do remember all your lineages with kindness and gratitude, including your first grade teacher, who taught you letters without which you could not read the Dharma, including your parents who taught you a language without which you could not understand the words, those who walked with you, who helped you on the path. See, the thing of it is, we are all in this together. I have here in Scritchy Scratchy, because that's how I work, a text which Rinpoche taught me and many others. He taught all of it here in the Bay Area. I am still working on getting it into proper English. He received it from Tuxi Rinpoche, who is the teacher that he carried out of Tibet. I don't remember when, but I think back at the monastery before he left. Beautiful set of 8 songs of realization, of 8 of the 84 great Mahasiddhas. There are other songs here and there, stories, and the stories don't all be the same when you find them in different texts. This reminds me of my favorite biography of Guru Rinpoche, my absolute favorite of all time. You want to hear it? High in the sky above North Urgyen there arose a double Vajra, clear, transparent, luminous, which shone forth with multicolored rainbow lights, penetrating society and the hearts of men, causing many people to experience many assorted perceptions. End of story. It seems to me to be the most accurate of all. So tonight we will open this text. There's the first page. And begin there, for that is where Dzögchen and Mahāmudrā are the same. Later, towards the end of tonight and through tomorrow, we will move into a teaching which is not a text. It is scritchy notes. That's upside down. My scritchy notes, taken when Rinpoche relayed to me a teaching he received orally and in person with only 1 or 2 other people present from His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. It's so clear, so direct, so to the point. So I will be passing that to you in the Karma Kargyu lineage. This text here is considered more of a Drupa Kargyu text in Mahāmudrā. If you have lineage questions and questions of begats, you can begin typing them now, and I will get to them in a few minutes. No, you can't have a copy of my Scritchy Scratchies. I heard that one. Dorje Kandro la Tatsalo. To the unshakable, indestructible Dakinis, I prostrate. Dakinis stands for the female yin, principle of openness, of emptiness, of vastness, of all accommodatingness, of all infinite possibility. This is the female principle. Not male and female like you got an innie or an outie. Dakinis are more often referred to than Dakas by Tibetan men. However, when we say dakini, we really refer to both the dance of the dakas and the dakinis. The dakas are the creative, all-loving Bodhisattva principle by which all Buddhas of the 4 times, by their bootstraps, lift themselves up as all sentient beings of the 3 realms into being all Buddhas of the 4 times. And that is called open-minded, open-heartedness. Bodhisattva, Buddha consciousness. It's not limited to just acts of kindness, although loving kindness is a component of how it manifests in this world. To treat the universe with the same tenderness with which a dog licks its balls is imperative. And that doesn't mean not biting at the flea on it. That doesn't mean not doing what is needed in a practical way. The dance of form, which is the dance of achieving enlightenment, in automaticity and interactive interpenetratingness. The dance of becoming, which occurs in each moment, requires the infinite open spaciousness of the sky-like nature of mind to dance in and as. And without that vitality of open-heartedness, open-mindedness, the sky would be simply a big black old void, unmanifest, without its innate, lively, playful creativity. So you see the energy of dakas and dakinis together make the energy of the dharmata, the continuous arising and destroying, the continuous occurrence of phenomena as no thing in nowhere. To this energy, I prostrate. I humble myself. I give up my grasping. Dzögchen po paten dume che chang. Dzögchen Mahāmudrā. Dume, paten dume, cannot, chichang, be shown or demonstrated. It can be pointed at with the great gesture, but it itself cannot be described, contained, solidified, or even sat on. Beyond concept it is. Look there. Practicing hardships. Kawe choteng. Lama la kupa. With respect, love, giving it up, giving it over to the teacher. Your teacher's job is to drive you out of your tiny little mind. And they can't do that if you don't cooperate. So he's talking to Naropa here, but any teacher might be talking to any student. Having the perseverance to bear the suffering of the path, O wise Naropa. Hanging in there, even when things get weird, even when things get hard, even when you are having all kinds of thoughts about what must be going on, trying like hell to figure it out. Hang in there. Tungal Zoden, Malapen Naropa. Kalchen Chogi Mingla De Tato. Having the good fortune to be here in this moment. Take these words to your heart. Remember, heart and mind. In Tibetan usage, it's the same word. Ning. Pane. Naunka. Kange Kangla. For example, like the sky, it has nothing to lean on. You don't have to create an edifice to hold up the sky. It's unnecessary. In the same way, Tendiji Dzögchen Latin Yulme, Mahāmudra does not rest on anything. Nothing needs to hold it up. No activity. No refraining from activity. No trying. No lack of trying. Ma tong ule. Nang tu lula so. Be free in the uncontrived natural state. Same thing we were pointing at last weekend with Sopa. Uncontrived, unmade, uncreated. You don't do it. You don't be good enough to get there. You don't improve on what is. Relax. Stop poking at it. Stop trying to figure out what level you're on, where you're going, how you're going to get there, and all that crap. Leave it be. Ten paloma tolpote chenme. When your bonds are released, freedom is certain. What holds you back? On a relative level, grabbing at what you want, trying to get what you want, and trying to get away from what you don't want, even if what you want is enlightenment and you're scared of samsara and trying to run away from it. You see, samsara is in your mind, and you can't get away from your mind. Enlightenment is your mind, and you can't get more your mind than you already are. Stop chasing. Stop running. On a more subtle level, it is duality. It is the belief and the need to preserve yourself. It is the self-preservation instinct. When you get in an argument with someone, and you feel that they are challenging your self-esteem, self-concept, self-belief system, and all of that, step back a moment. What are you really fighting to protect? I have a dear friend who has the ability like no other to bother me. It's one of the reasons they're a dear friend. They tell me that I have the ability like no other to bother them. As long as we both rest in awareness, this is a good Dharma relationship. If we tighten up and fight the energy, trying to get understood, acknowledged, whatever it is we occasionally try to get from each other, then we're just driving each other nuts. Then it is a neurotic relationship. Same relationship, I'm just looking at it from two different angles, neither of which is real. I can make the most amazing stories in my mind about what is and what is not. They're happening in my mind. They arise in my mind and they dissolve in my mind. And they have never, ever throughout time and space been anything other than that. So I don't have to fix them or suppress them or get rid of them or purify them. If I can just stop grabbing at them and poking at them, like a snake uncoiling when it's done sunning itself, it will crawl away on its own. Remember this, because surely you have a friend like I do, or a family member. Hell, maybe it's your mom. When your bonds of grabbing and shoving, when your bonds of trying to protect and improve yourself and your situation are released, everything is released. That self-grasping, self-creating, self-aggrandizing, self-maintaining habit is in your way. When you gaze into the center of the sky on a cloudless day, you don't see anything. You may have visions. You may see ticklies. You may see dots, the little tiny dots that everything seems to be made of, like a velox. You may see those little black and white silverfish-like things that arise and vanish at the edge of your vision. You may see the sparkles of the energy of vitality. None of those are real or there. They are visions. You perceive them with your sense organ, the eye, and you explain them according to your culture. If you are trained as an ophthalmologist, you will explain them one way. If you are trained as a yogi, you will explain them another way. These explanations are thoughts. Really, when you gaze into the center of a cloudless sky, You don't see anything. Like that when mind looks at mind, in the same way it does not see anything. Utter perfection, as it is, looking into the center of mind, Nam tok dak la, me chung chu tok. Thoughts arising and dissolving, seeing it as it is, awakening occurs. In Mahāmudrā, sky is often compared to or seen as mind. In fact, among scholars in Mahāmudrā, there has been a debate for the longest time about whether sky is, or whether mind is like the sky, or whether the mind is the sky. It's good for a giggle. Kamsutang, arising in the sphere of mind, from the sphere of mind to the sphere of mind, they did not go anywhere. Just as the clouds in the sky arise and vanish in sky as sky, they do not go anywhere. The clouds do not leave the sky for another place. They do not enter the sky from another place that is not sky. Don't give me about the evaporation of water and all of that ninth grade science class. Yeah, it's true, but they're not clouds when they're doing that. If you watch on a day when it's happening, the cloudless sky, you may actually see a cloud form rather than drift in from another part of the sky where it did that. And if you watch on a day of few clouds, you might even see a cloud dissolve. Just like that, although a hell of a lot faster, thoughts in sky. All the many thoughts and belief systems arising in mind itself they arise. In mind itself they dissolve. The trick is to watch them do that. Sopa, meditating while thinking. Don't try to stop thoughts from happening, because you cannot stop them forever, only for a very long time. And if you do succeed in doing that, you're just going to get yourself stuck in the formless realms. And that's kind of pointless. It's just another God realm, just another experience. Kind of like getting born into a nyam that lasts until you die. What would be the point? Also, it sounds pretty boring. For example, the true nature of sky transcends color and place. Now remember, in Tibetan, the word nauka that we are using for sky also means space. So in this context, I am getting hoarse. Where are my little horse drops? I don't know where I put them. Nah, I put them somewhere. Never mind, I'll just drink some water. The nature of space. Space, space that you can wave your arm in. Space where there is no clutter. Space. Space itself doesn't have a shape or a color. It is simply spacious. Neither white nor black can purify or sully it. When a rain cloud, a dark cloud arises in the sky is undamaged. When a white fluffy cloud arises in sky, the sky is not benefited. Don't be attached to thinking good thoughts, to having good feelings, or to having more enjoyable perceptions. This attachment is what's wanking you around by your nose ring. You can't control it, and none of it is solid. Virtue and evil, white and black, phenomena, whatever it is, cannot harm the sky, cannot sully it or dirty it. Matter can dance in space, move in space, molecules. But if you examine a molecule, you will find it to be a number of atoms with space between them, hanging on to each other through the electrons and the charges. And you will find that the atoms themselves are mostly space. In between the protons and the neutrons and the electrons, there's a friggin' hell of a lot of space in there. And when you start taking a proton or a neutron apart, you find it full of itty-bitty, teeny, tiny knot thingies. And there we get to quantum physics, which is lots of fun. Reminds me of Madhyamika philosophy, but in different words. If you like to read a lot of books, and if you like to enjoy intellectual play, read quantum physics. The essential brightness of the sun in an instant illuminates darkness which has lasted 1,000 eons. If there were a cave that had never seen the light of day since it formed long ago, and you took a bulldozer and you opened the top so that the sun shone in, the light shone in. No matter how long that cave had been in darkness, the instant it was open to the light, the whole thing is illuminated. It doesn't make a difference how long there has been darkness. The moment the light shines, it's bright. Like this, the luminous essence of mind itself. Eons of existence in samsara cannot sully it. Look at that. No matter what you've done, however terrible it be, and time being rather long, all of us have done a whole bunch of terrible things in all that time, as well as wonderful things. Been villains and saints, mass murderers and child molesters, great physicians and healers, preachers for better or for worse, so many things in infinity. No matter how bad and no matter how long, nature of mind is undamaged. This is why we call it kata, primordial purity, innate unfuck-upableness. Those white scarves that you offer to a teacher at the end, that you offer to a friend whenever you give a gift or meet with them after a long time, and that everybody gives each other at New Year's. Those white gifting scarves, they're called kata. Kata. They're called innate unfuck-upableness. They are the symbol of that. A pure white scarf. When you offer it to someone, you're offering the very best of yourself. You're acknowledging that the true you, the real you, the not you, the adamantine, indestructible aspect of mind, and you're giving it. And when you receive that, in the same way, you're receiving it. When you offer it to a teacher, they give it back to you. This is to signify you've just offered them the very best part of yourself. The real part, not the made-up pretend part that's going to be gone in a minute. Not the illusion, but the real. Kata, primordial purity. And when they give it back to you, they're signifying that they are sharing that with you. It is shared, not owned. Never owned. Nowadays, katas are made in the colors of the Dhyani Buddhas to show the energy of offering certain energies. When you offer a golden one, you are offering the wish-fulfilling jewel. When you offer a green one, you are offering all-accomplishing wisdom. When you offer a red one, you are offering the innate, natural bodhisattva of the universe. And when you offer a blue one, you are offering the sky-like infinite openness of the nature of mind. Different aspects of the same thing. Just as clear light is broken up by a prism into many colors. For example, the true emptiness of the sky. Can never be described or encompassed. It can never be bound or held. Ungraspable, ungrabbable, and unshovable. You can't. It's space. You can't grab it, put it in a jar, get rid of it, shove it away. As the sky itself is truly indescribable, so clear light nature of mind itself also cannot be described in words. Are you following this? The Song of Talopa. Don't try to make something out of it. Rest in trekcha, while allowing the words to point your attention to the nature of trekcha, your own nature, what you really are. Don't try to write them down or grab them. Don't try to do anything to this. Did any questions arise about lineage?
Yes. The first one is, if one is a lineage holder in one Kargyu lineage, does that mean in a general sense that one is also a lineage holder in all of them?
It would depend on how you feel about it, and whether you've had teachings in all of them. There are many Kargyu lineages. I can't even name them all. It seems to me, and I could be mistaken here, to have a great deal of categories of lineage. Drupa Kargyu, Drigan Kargyu, Karma Kargyu seem to be main ones, but I'm pretty sure there's more. Sharma Kargyu. I'm pretty sure there's more than that. I just don't know them all. Now, Nyingma's a little different. We've got thousands, little family lineages, little bits and pieces here and there, not organized into categories particularly, except some of the big ones. I am less familiar with Shakya. Bon has at least 2, and may have more, I don't know. Yondran and Yendu are 2 of the main Bon. Galupa, I'm not sure whether they've got Atisha and Kadampa. I'm not sure if those go together or not. I'm outside my field of expertise here. A scholar might know.
Can we transcribe your scritchy scratch from the recording of your oral teaching?
But I'm not just going with the scritchy scratch. I'm putting my 2 cents in to try to make it even more understandable. Sure, you can transcribe it, but it's not the text. It's just what I said that day. But you can do that if you like. In fact, if you do it, I believe Tasha's posting a lot of them on the internet, and many people are transcribing teachings. And maybe someday somebody's going to make a book out of it, but it's probably not going to be me. I'm much too lazy.
How does the Nyingma lineage fit into the other two lineages you mentioned, as far as their views, practices, approaches to Mahamudra?
Oh, there are two lineages? I mentioned 5, plus subsets.
Well, this was much earlier.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So the Nyingma lineage speaks of Dzögchen, the great perfection. It is the same thing at the end of it, but they offer different methodology. That was the answer.
Did Wangdur Rinpoche spend a lot of time with His Holiness the 16th Karmapa, or was this teaching a once-in-a-lifetime type of thing for him?
I don't think they spent a lot of time together. His Holiness the 16th Karmapa had many great works and was Karma Kargyu. Wangdur Rinpoche's home lineage was Drupa Kargyu. Drupa Kargyu holds Nyingma and Kargyu teachings both, so they teach both Dzögchen and Chögchen in Drupa Kargyu. Drupa means dragon Kargyu. Drukyul, the Tibetan word for Bhutan. And it's the main lineage up in Bhutan. I think they met more than once, but this particular teaching, to have His Holiness the 16th Karmapa sit down and give the entirety of Mahamudra in this kind of clear and concise manner. He was giving it to Zigor Rinpoche, who had been Wangdur Rinpoche's teacher in a past life, and who Wangdur Rinpoche was the teacher and helper of in this life. And they had gone to see Karmapa, and Wangdur Rinpoche brought him there. I think he was quite young then, in his early 20s, or no, goodness, he might even have been younger, like 18, 19, 17, something like this. And he had completed his studies, and they went to see His Holiness Karmapa, and the way things came together, the 16th Karmapa gave this teaching to the two of them. There may have been an attendant present, I don't know. And then asked Rinpoche to build a Gompa. He used to say to me, "Oh, you remember the 16th Karmapa? Not the kind of person you can say no to, regardless of how you feel about it." And then he'd shake his head and get on with the great cement hunt.
That's the end of the lineage questions, but there's other questions.
Okay, I'll go with questions for a little while.
Okay. Out of meditation, I know Tawa is always there, yet my mind wanders into discursive thinking until I feel the suffering. Is the practice to intentionally remember to relax in Tawa and as Tawa at all times?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That is the practice of Gom in the Dzögchen lineage, to do exactly that. You use mindfulness or remembering. Yeah, you put it really nicely. Thank you.
I was once told that the root of all is self-grasping, self-cherishing. I would like Lama Lena to elaborate on this, because it seems like these teachings diametrically oppose what we in the West are expected to perform.
Well, while I'm talking, please amplify what you think we in the West are expected to perform. Self-cherishing is a funky translation. It was one of the earliest translations put forth by Lama Yeshe when he was first learning English. and was looking for how you felt about your gold jewelry or something. Self-cherishing in Western speak means loving yourself. You are a sentient being. This is not loving yourself, but it is not loving yourself more than others, nor is it loving others more than yourself. It's allowing that sensation of, we call it love, but that's often distorted because we point focus love on this being or that being, like loving this cat but not another cat. Actually, I love all cats. But not as much as my granddaughter, who really loves cats. Segued.
Yeah, isn't.
So it is really opening that orifice of focus so that love is not one-pointed. Then you can use the word love. Read me that question again. There was a second part.
The whole thing?
Yes.
I was once told that the root of all is self-grasping, self-cherishing. I would like you to elaborate on this because it seems like these teachings diametrically oppose what we in the West are expected to perform.
Okay, I'm not quite sure. You're going to have to get back to me on what you think you're expected to perform. However, self-grasping is a good term, much better than self-cherishing. You grasp at the idea of being an individual entity, and you work hard to maintain your self-concept. It's not that you love yourself, it's that you grab yourself. You try to keep yourself together. You are afraid of coming apart. You are afraid of letting go, of losing it all. This is self-grasping, and it is the root. Self-grasping is what causes you to separate yourself from everything else and think, here I am, and this is my mind, and thoughts are in my mind, but everything else is out there, and I'm thinking about real stuff that's out there, and it's really the way I think it is. That's all caused by the self-grasping, which is part of duality. You are creating two categories, dualism, self and not self, other. This self-preservation, self-grasping instinct is perhaps one of the strongest in sentient beings. It is only possibly overcome by love. For example, praying mantises. It is probable that the less male praying mantis, feeling love lust for the female praying mantis, even though aware of the end of consummating that, does it anyway, and then she eats his head to nourish the eggs. Male humans, one of the highest death rates, things that kill male humans, is the accident proneness of showing off for female humans while they're in their teens and 20s. That urge to merge, which includes the lust of the mating instinct and the urge to find your soulmate and share your heart with someone in your life. These are but a pale reflection of the dance of the union of method and wisdom, bodhicitta and open awareness. These are but a pale reflection of the urge of form to expand into sky, filling it totally, and so be released from its singularity and solitary sensation. Similar to the urge of space to encompass form and to dance in the movement of form, to be filled by this, the innate vitality. So really, your self-preservation instinct is only overcome by bodhicitta. It is the key. Bodhicitta Guru Yoga. Did they get back to me with what we're expected to do?
Not yet.
Okay, because I'm curious about what they feel expected to do. It probably varies a lot between people.
Mm.
Next question.
These tiglies interest me. What is a tigli?
Whoa, big topic. Sperm. It's one of the words for it. Life force essence, the generative nature. Tsa lung tigli la chapsu chiwo. In the energy channels, the chi that runs within them and the innately creative energy that arises from this, I take refuge. Tigli, innately creative energy. Next question.
Can you someday give a teaching on quantum physics and the Dharma?
No, I don't have a degree in physics and am a bit rusty. I would have to hit the books more than I think I'll do right now. But I will take it under advisement. If there is a quantum physicist out there who wants to work with me on it, they should email me.
There was a question. Hang on. Why do we put so much effort struggling to change? Is there a need for that? Can you explain the process of letting go and just be?
Universal angst is why. There is a all-pervading dissatisfaction with the way things are. A itch, a roll in your girdle, a wrinkle in your girdle, an irritant in samsara that causes this all-pervading, not causes, but is experienced as this all-pervading dissatisfaction with isness. It arises out of duality. Once you perceive that you are real and the things that are not you are really not you, once you fall into that error, you automatically are dissatisfied with the way it lines up. You are dissatisfied with the sensation of limitation there and start running around like a chicken with its head off trying to fix it. So you redecorate your house because maybe that'll make you happy and satisfied. And then you go shopping and buy new clothes because maybe that'll make you happy and satisfied. And then you try to mate with this one and that one because maybe that'll make you happy and satisfied. And it never does. What is meant by leave be and let go, what you want to let go of, is hope and fear. But you can't just do that. Being a sentient being with the illusion of separateness and individuality you will automatically have both hope and fear arise. So you need to see your own true nature rather than the illusory nature of Joe, or Sam, or Anna, whoever you think you are. To do that, simply follow the instructions of meditation. Sit with your channels in alignment and relax. Let your attention open wide. Instead of point focusing your attention, paying attention to what you are thinking, feeling, and perceiving, which is all called phenomena. And instead of attempting to ignore, to look away from what you are thinking, feeling, and perceiving, which is all called phenomena, simply let go of your grasp on phenomena without attempting to get rid of it or do anything about it. Relax. Let thoughts arise as thoughts arise. Let them dissolve as they do. The thoughts of a moment ago is gone now. The next thought you will be thinking hasn't happened yet. And in this moment and all moments, the infinite open awareness remains present, doesn't come and go. When you stop shoving things in front of it so you can't see it, and then narrowing your focus on the thingies, such as thoughts or feelings or perceptions that you're shoving there and grabbing there and trying to muck about with, and you're either trying to have a happier thought or a better thought or to not think a thought, and you keep trying to do something, and that's mucking about with it and stirring it with your finger. You stop that. Just stop. And there it is. To recognize, to perceive, no, not perceive. To be as nature of mind in all moments, without attempting to block the lively creativity of this. To rest as the innate energy of vitality that pervades the universe, without grabbing onto the innate energy of vitality which pervades the universe, the idea of that, the feeling of that, the perception of that. Don't grab it. Let the arisings arise as they arise, and let them dissolve as they do. Don't bother with it. Just sit there. Don't try to enter some exalted state or get anything out of this. Just sit there. Like that. You don't do it. Other questions?
Did Wangdo Rinpoche and Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche know each other?
Yes, they were quite good friends. Next.
Is there a difference between types of thought? Sometimes some thoughts seem to vibrate the vocal cords.
No. You're doing that yourself.
Why is it so bad to live in a nyam that lasts a life, as in your example of a rebirth in a no-form realm? What does it mean?
Well, okay, you can do that. You've done that before. Well, you'll probably do it again. But then you die at the end of that life. And you've used up all of that attention, ability, karma. So likely the next life is going to be highly active as some kind of critter or another. And then the next, and then the next, and then the next. And a lot of it hurts. Doesn't it? The suffering of losing what you have and of not getting what you want. The suffering of fleeing what you fear to exhaustion. The suffering of having it catch you anyway. These 4 sufferings happen to all beings who are chained to the wheel of samsara. And one life might be fairly pleasant, a little vacation life. But then it ends and the crap starts again. And you can't get away from it by struggling.
Question about Tiglis. Do you teach Togyo, or is it just for very advanced students?
I just teach it for very advanced students. I may teach it openly someday if that appears to be what is required by the universe. But it does not appear to be the requirement now. So I do teach it, but I teach it in very individual or extremely small groups and only to students who have some stability in their trekcha. Because it is like having a practice where you pat the top of your head and rub your tummy while riding a bicycle. Although I could teach anyone to pat the top of their head and rub their tummy, if the instruction is to do it while riding a bicycle and you're not fairly good at riding a bicycle at the time, you're going to do yourself a mischief and fall off at the worst. And at the least, you're simply not going to accomplish the practice, and I'll have wasted both our time.
Have you read other English translations of Tilopa's Ganji's Mahāmudrā teaching?
Yes, many.
Opinion?
And they're all quite nice. I just have a habit of liking to see the Tibetan words.
Have you presented teachings on how to align our channels?
I have. That was the very first teaching of the body, which I gave Friday, last week. If you would like to review this, I believe that may be already posted on the website. If not, go back through the earlier Facebook posts and find the one where I was wearing a purple shirt. It's in there.
In one of your earlier teachings, you made mention to how PTSD jumbles up one's energy. How can one navigate these arising in one's practice?
Navigate. Let go. In Mahāmudra and Dzögchen, the method of dealing with pagchas, of which PTSD is simply a strong kind of pagcha. Pagcha is a karmic formation. It can also be perceived as a frizzy bit or crick in the channels. So in order to unravel that, there is nothing as fast or as powerful as structure. If you can actually do trekcha, which is not a doing, so if you can actually not do trekcha, They unravel naturally like a snake, uncoiling itself and crawling away. However, sometimes those pagchas or PTSDs are so strong and so troublesome that they actually stop you from practicing trekchö. So we use other effective methods if that is the case. You can do EMDR with a qualified therapist. If the trauma is in this life, I do not know if any of the standard EMDR therapists know how to work with past life trauma or not. Now, that is not known to me. There is another method that is not EMDR that some people really like, the name of which has escaped me. So you can use some of the simpler Western therapies to get that crick to just relax enough that you can practice. Or you can use the Tibetan method of Ngondro. 100,000 prostrations will get certain kinds of cricks out of your channels very nicely. So will Vajrasattva. If your cricks involve the way you perceive the world, if that's how they manifest, mandala offerings will be helpful. If it's just something that's bugging you in the moment, I can give you a first aid energy channel practice. This isn't going to work on the really big, deeply ingrained ones. It works on the little immediate ones, like you were just out for a walk and somebody yelled at you for being Asian and giving them a virus, as crazy people are wont to do these days, and you're shaken in the moment. Or you're a doctor working in the hospital and your patient just died. Or your patient was somewhat toxic to you. These little things that happen in daily life it's good for before they can crick up too badly. It's actually a procedure that's taught to Tibetan doctors to use after seeing patients so that they can avoid the psychic contagion that sometimes occurs when you're really reaching into someone diagnostically. It's very simple. It's one of the simpler of Tsalung practices. All you do is, while breathing in through your nose, you extend all your energy channels that are usually coiled around you, holding you in, holding you together, keeping your shit together. You uncoil them and reach out, straight out, uncoiling everything from all the chakras, reaching straight out to infinity in all possible directions, not just out to the sides and in front. Don't forget behind and below. Don't forget past and future if you can work with those. And any other dimensions you can imagine, and a few you can't. All of this while breathing in. And then you relax while breathing out through your mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. It's very relaxing. It gets the minor pricks out. If you've been in combat, it's unlikely to get all of that out by itself. You would need to either proceed with something like a Ngondro or with one of the Western methods, which are said to work fairly well for this life PTSDs. Other questions?
Excuse my ignorance, but are we able to practice based on what you've taught here, or do we need to visit your other videos, such as Intro to Dzögchen, or a similar video with Mahāmudra? I was hesitant to watch and practice based on the risk warning you have on your website.
What I have said to you tonight is not enough. However, by the end of the weekend, it will be. This is more the intro, the beginning. This is the poetry that points. But this builds on last weekend. However, if Mahāmudra is what you are interested in, you will have to join me tomorrow for the 2 sessions we are planning in order to receive all of it, tomorrow and Sunday. Otherwise, it's incomplete, and probably it would be better for you to get it at least live cast in one complete, whether Mahāmudra or Dzögchen, before going for texts and canned stuff.
Can you share any advice for the yoga of the night in Dzögchen?
Sleep in tawa. Utter simple. As you're going to sleep, you're lying down in your whatever position you are normally sleeping in, and you're starting to relax. And don't do this so much if you have really bad insomnia, because any doing on top of insomnia tends to wake you up and make it worse. But for most people, and if you have insomnia, take what you normally take, a cup of hot milk, a melatonin, sleepy time tea. Do not use valerian root tea while doing these practices. The reason is herbally complex. What they do to your channels is not what you want with that dream practice, with any dream practice. It actually locks you in. It's an emergency drug for lung, rising lung, but should not be used regularly. The same for Valium. It works very similar to valerian. So the Dreamtime practice is simple. As you start to relax and your thoughts become disjointed, and sometimes you begin to see pictures, but you're not in the dream yet. You're just seeing the images, which at some point you'll fall into one of them and be in a dream and then go into the deep sleep and the other things that happen. At that time, enter Trekcha. Relax. Let your awareness naturally and easily open. Sleep, go to sleep, gently drifting in nature of mind. One more question for the moment.
What's the role of Salung practices in Dzögchen?
They are considered a K-rim, path of accumulation, a doing that prepares you for Dzögchen. In Dzögchen, they are considered what you do when Dzögchen doesn't go in. We'll have them run around, do a bunch of Salung, and then try again. I'd say in Dzögchen pretty much the same thing, although in Dzögchen they're often given to those who are not attracted to Dzögchen before Dzögchen is emphasized. They're very active and suitable for young people. Oh, right, I said that was enough questions. For the practice of Mahāmudra, I want you guys to try something. An experiment from tonight until tomorrow. I'm just setting this up so that we can find it again. There. I want you to find yourself a little pebble. Just a simple little pebble. Any pebble. This is something I picked out of a potted plant just before teaching. I want you to sit with your channels in alignment, cross-legged in a lotus position if that's how you sit, or in an ergonomic office chair if that's how you sit, Maitreya position, or in the Zen position if that's how you sit. And as you relax your eyeballs, I want you to see where your eyes naturally fall. And I want you to put your pebble there. Now we're going to do something different with the pebble. Shine with an object. You're going to learn something fascinating if you actually do this about thoughts and perceptions. You want to rest your eyes on the pebble. You're not relaxing your eyeballs, you're looking at the pebble. My pebble is a little too big. My eyes actually can move going from one side to the other. The pebble should be about the size of the end of your thumb. I want you to rest your attention on the pebble. When you start to think about the pebble, return your attention just to the pebble. Using mindfulness or remembering, keep returning your attention to the pebble. Try to think only of the pebble, not to think of how it arose, how it was formed, what kind of rock it is, but just the pebble itself, really simple. See if you can trance out with your eyes on the pebble, your mind on the pebble, your awareness, your attention on the pebble, your thoughts on the pebble, your feelings on the pebble, your perception on the pebble. Remain still with the pebble. This is resting in stillness with an object, shine with an object. And you learn a hell of a lot from having tried it. So this is tonight's homework. After we are done, I want you to put your time, have a session with the pebble. Make it a fairly long session. As long as you can, and then some. At least a half an hour, and an hour would be better. Longer if you're capable of it. And I'd like, before we meet again at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, we're on Mountain Time, which means Pacific Time, this is going to be 10 a.m. Before we meet then, I want you to get up in the morning and do one session. Preferably an hour, but at least half an hour of just resting with that pebble in stillness. Because the pebble isn't going to do anything. And the pebble doesn't care what you do. It's not going to judge you if you do it right or wrong. It's just going to sit there. And you do the same. I'm going to come back to any more questions now and take a few, while anyone who has any questions about how to rest with the pebble should ask that now, because that's important. Meanwhile, we'll go to one of the remaining questions.
What is the equivalent of sopa in Mahāmudra?
Probably Laktong. Direct seeing. The culmination of Trultra Naljor. More on that tomorrow.
What is the antidote to fear for a person fearful of everything?
Discovering that you aren't. Not that you aren't afraid, that you aren't there. That there's no one to be harmed. However, until such time as that occurs, refuge. Taking refuge. Reciting the refuge prayer. Sanje chu gedun la japsu chiwo Lama Idam Kandro la japsu chiwo Tsalung Tigli la japsu chiwo Chuku Longku Truku la japsu chiwo Rangsem Tongsel Ngo la japsu chiwo. With understanding and feeling it in your heart. In Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, I take refuge. In the teacher, the archetype, and the dakini, I take refuge. In the energy channels, the chi that flows within them, and the lively creativity arising from this, I take refuge. In the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, I take refuge. In the innate luminous clarity of my own mind. In the innate luminous empty clarity of my own mind, I take refuge.
For the pebble practice, with or without glasses?
With.
Instead of a pebble, could we use a flame?
You could, but it's more likely to move if there's a breeze. And you want something that doesn't do anything. It is recommended not to use an electric light or an electric flame or a battery-operated flame, because we don't know how that affects the eyeballs. And while you're doing this, blink as you need to. Don't let your eyeballs dry out. It's bad for you physically to let your eyeballs dry out.
I can't stop Shine with an object from turning into Dreamtime. Is that bad?
Nope. Go ahead.
That was the last question.
Okay. When Shine with an object becomes Shine without an object, automatically don't fight it. When it becomes distractions, stories, itches, and restlessness, return your attention to the pebble. And that's it for tonight. I will see you all in the morning. Ngevandi Nyurduda Chi Chi Sala Gopashu. All beings be happy. That all beings be free.